The past, the present, and the future walked into a bar. It was tense. If that made you groan a little or smile a little or both at the same time, then you already understand what this book is about. Language is the funniest thing human beings have ever invented. We use it to communicate, to connect, to explain ourselves to each other. And every single day in every language on earth, it goes beautifully, hilariously, and sometimes awkwardly wrong. My name is Yavar Dehghani. I am a linguist, an educator, and the author of The Grammar of Laughter. And in this video, I want to show you why that's not just a funny title. It is actually a serious idea. The central idea. Here is something that every linguist knows and every comedian has figured out. The funniest moments in language are not accidents, they are windows. When a pun makes you groan, it is because your brain just processed two meanings simultaneously and couldn't choose between them. When a translation goes wrong in a spectacular way, it reveals the hidden assumptions that every language bakes into its grammar. When a grammar rule turns out to be its own contradiction, and English is full of these, it tells you something real about how language actually works versus how we pretend it works. For example, we park on driveways and drive on parkways. We recite at a play and play at a recital. Someone can be pretty ugly or seriously funny. And when someone says they are literally dying, they are almost certainly not. But here is the thing, Persian does exactly the same. Turkish does exactly the same. Every language that has ever existed has developed its own private collection of logical impossibilities that native speakers use every single day without blinking. That's what this book explores, not just the jokes, but why the jokes work, not just where language goes wrong, but what that wrongness reveals about how brilliantly human the whole enterprise of communication actually is. Let me give you a taste, because the comedy and the insight gets even better when you start comparing languages. Every language has its own way of saying 1 minute, and every language means something completely different by it. For example, in English, 1 minute is optimistic. On the other hand, in Persian, یک دقیقه typically means somewhere between 5 and 15 real minutes. In Turkish, bir saniye, 1 second can mean some minutes. This book points out that this is not rudeness or disorganization. It is a different cultural relationship with time, expressed linguistically. Then there is this word, inshallah, in the Middle Eastern languages. A word appears in Persian, Arabic, Turkish, and dozens of other languages. Literally, it means God willing, but depending entirely on tone, context, and the relationship between the people speaking, it can mean yes or maybe, or no, or absolutely never, or don't ask me again. The book explores how a single word can carry this much meaning and what that tells you about the things human beings are too polite to say directly. The book also has a thread devoted to language learners and the important ways that the second language acquisition can go wrong. For example, in Turkish, a learner trying to say they were full after a meal said ben dolyum, which doesn't mean full in the sense of satisfied after eating. It means full of the sense of emotionally volatile, as if they were about to overflow. Technically grammatical, socially alarming. In Persian, a learner trying to say they were embarrassed produced a sentence that translated roughly as I am embarrassment itself, not that they felt embarrassed. The book argues that these mistakes are not failures, they are the most honest moments in language learning. Language mistakes become memories, misunderstandings become stories worth retelling. The grammar of laughter is 17 chapters of exactly this kind of exploration, but with depth, structure, and real linguistic analysis underneath the fun. It covers grammar contradictions across English, Persian, and Turkish, the linguistics of puns, why they work, and why they reveal about how the brain processes double meaning, translation disasters, not to mock the people who made them, but to understand what goes wrong when meaning crosses a language boundary. And there is a chapter on accents and slangs, a chapter on laughter without words, the gestures, expressions, and silences that are as culturally specific as any vocabulary item. And there is a chapter on humor across time, jokes from ancient Rome and classical Persian literature that are still funny today. And in the final chapters, the book asks what happens to humor in digital age, how memes, autocorrect disasters, and machine translations reshape the comedy of language, and where all of this is heading. Across all 17 chapters, the book keeps returning to one central argument. The places where language breaks down, goes sideways, or dissolves into laughter are not failures of communications. They are the most human moments communication produces, the good way of interacting with others. I want to say something seriously for a moment. Inside a book about not taking language too seriously, laughter is one of the most underrated tools in cross-cultural communication. When you meet someone whose language and culture are different from your own, there is often a moment of uncertainty. What do I say? What if I get something wrong? The answer the book gives is this: get something wrong. A linguistic mistake shared with goodwill is one of the fastest routes to genuine human connection. The person who laughs at themselves in a second language, who says, I know this is wrong, work with me here, creates something that correct grammar alone never can. They create warmth. Humor is not decoration added to language, it is language at full stretch, doing its most creative and most revealing work. The Grammar of Laughter is available now on Amazon and in the link in the description below. Thank you for watching.